Good morning. How are you? Welcome to our church. We came and we brought the kids today to say hello and tell everyone that we miss you. We hope to see you soon, and we hope that you're all staying safe, and we love you too. And this is Limo, big old guy. And this is Griff. Say hello, Griff.
To the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs, located in the heart of the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and known as the home of the Innes paintings. We are a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. Hi, I'm the Reverend Kristina Spaude, minister here at UUCTS. Thank you for joining us. I hope you find meaning in today's service, and I invite you to drop in for a more personal visit to one of our coffee hours Sunday morning at 11 o'clock on Zoom. If you are new to the area or just learning about Unitarian Universalism, we'd love to meet you in one of our Newcomer Discussions, which are held on the second Sunday of every month at 12:15. Please refer to our website for information on how to connect with us on Zoom. Our service associate will begin the service shortly. Let us enter this sacred time now with open minds and open hearts.
Greetings and welcome, dear friends. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs virtual service. My name is Betty Lou Cummins, and I'm delighted to be your service associate today. We offer a warm welcome to all who are with us today in our virtual reality. We are a church of many welcomes. I welcome you now, and I hope that we can welcome you in person on a future pandemic-free day at our location in Tarpon Springs. Our covenant is that we will strive to look for and to encourage the best in each other as we move toward justice, peace, and love for both ourselves and for the world. And when we fall short, we will seek understanding, reconciliation, and a return to covenant. We welcome all thoughtful people to journey through life's mystery with us. Whatever your religious background or current belief, whatever your race, ethnicity, sexual or gender identity, lifestyle, or circumstances, we want to walk with you on the way to holiness and happiness, justice and service. We hope that you feel the blessings of love through your time in our presence. As a congregation, we seek to create a diverse and accepting community based on the principles of our faith, Unitarian Universalism, and we are drawn together in voluntary loyalty. We believe that we need not think alike to love alike. There is one important announcement I'm asked to share with you. November is the month that we hold our annual Stewardship Campaign. This year, instead of picking up your form after church, we are mailing it to you with some information about why this is so important to our sustainability as a caring community. In the next week, please look for our letter from Judy Lucarelli and do what you can to support our church. We come now to our chalice lighting with words by Cynthia Landrum. As we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other.
Carry the flame. Our story today is The Three Questions by Leo Telstoy. It once occurred to a certain king that if he always knew the right time to begin everything, if he knew who were the right people to listen to and whom to avoid, and above all, if he always knew what was the most important thing to do, he would never fail in anything he might undertake. And this thought having occurred to him, he had it proclaimed throughout his kingdom that he would give a great reward to anyone who would teach him what was the right time for every action, and who were the most necessary people, and how he might know what was the most important thing to do. And learned men came to the king, but they all answered his questions differently. In reply to the first question, some said that to know the right time for every action, one must draw up in advance a table of days, months, and years, and must live strictly according to it. Only thus, said they, could everything be done at its proper time. Others declared that it was impossible to decide beforehand the right time for every action, but that not letting oneself be absorbed in idle pastimes, one should always attend to all that was going on, and then do what was most needful. Others, again, said that however attentive the king might be to what was going on, it was impossible for one man to decide correctly the right time for every action, but that he should have a council of wise men who would help him to fix the proper time for everything. But then again, others said there were some things which could not wait to be laid before a council, and about which one had at once to decide whether to undertake them or not. But in order to decide that, one must know beforehand what was going to happen. It is only magicians who know that, and therefore, in order to know the right time for every action, one must consult magicians. Equally various were the answers to the second question. Some said the people the king needed most were his counselors, others the priests, others the doctors, while some said the warriors were the most necessary. And to the third question as to what makes the most important occupation, some replied that the most important thing in the world was science, others that it was skill in warfare, and others again that it was religious worship. All of the answers being different, the king agreed to none of them and gave the reward to none. But still wishing to find the right answers to his questions, he decided to consult a hermit, widely renowned for his wisdom. The hermit lived in a wood which he never quitted, and he received none but common folk. So the king put on some simple clothes, and before reaching the hermit's cell, dismounted from his horse. Leaving his bodyguard behind, he went on alone. When the king approached, the hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut. Seeing the king, he greeted him and went on digging. The hermit was frail and weak, and each time he stuck his spade into the ground and turned a little earth, he breathed heavily. The king went up to him and said, "I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn the right thing to do at the right time? Who are the people I most need? And to whom should I, therefore, pay more attention than to the rest? And what affairs are the most important and need my first attention?" The hermit listened to the king, but answered nothing. He just spat on his hand and recommenced digging. "You are tired," said the king. "Let me take the spade and work a while for you." "Thanks," said the hermit, and giving the spade to the king, he sat down on the ground. When he had dug 2 beds, the king stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit again gave no answer, but rose, stretched out his hand for the spade, and said, "Now rest a while. Let me work a bit." But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. 1 hour passed, and another. The sun began to sink behind the trees, and the king at last stuck the spade into the ground and said, "I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me none, tell me so, and I will return home." "Here comes someone running," said the hermit. "Let us see who it is." The king turned round and saw a bearded man come running out of the wood. The man held his hand pressed against his stomach, and blood was flowing from under them. When he reached the king, he fell fainting on the ground, moaning feebly. The king and the hermit unfastened the man's clothing. There was a large wound in his stomach. The king washed it as best he could and bandaged it with his handkerchief and with a towel the hermit had. But the blood would not stop flowing, and the king again and again removed the bandage soaked with warm blood and washed and rebandaged the wound. When at last the blood ceased flowing, the man revived and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him. Meanwhile, the sun had set and it had become cool. So the king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. Lying on the bed, the man closed his eyes and was quiet. But the king was so tired from his walk and from the work he had done that he crouched down on the threshold and also fell asleep, so soundly that he spent all the night sleeping on that short summer night. When he awoke in the morning, it was long before he could remember where he was or who was the strange bearded man lying on the bed and gazing intently at him with shining eyes. "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice, when he saw that the king was awake and was looking at him. "I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for," said the king. "You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you because you executed his brother and seized his property. I knew you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. But the day passed and you did not return. So I came out from my ambush to find you and came upon your bodyguard, and they recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from them, but should have bled to death had you not dressed my wound. I wished to kill you, and you have saved my life. Now, if I live, and if you wish it, I will serve you as your most faithful slave, and will bid my sons do the same. Forgive me." The king was very glad to have made peace with his enemy so easily, and to have gained him for a friend. And he not only forgave him, but said he would send his servants and his own physician to attend him, and promised to restore his property. Having taken leave of the wounded man, the king went out into the yard and looked around for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to beg an answer to the questions he had put. The hermit was outside, on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king approached him and said, "For the last time, I pray you to answer my questions, wise man." "You have already been answered," said the hermit, still crouching on his thin legs, looking up at the king who stood before him. "How answered? What do you mean?" asked the king. "Do you not see?" replied the hermit. "If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, but had gone your way, that man would have attacked you, and you would have repented of not having stayed with me. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when that man ran to us, the most important time was when you were attending to him, for if you had not bound up his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. So he was the most important man, and what you did for him was your most important business. Remember then, there's only one time that is important, now. It is the most important time because it is the only time when we have any power. The most necessary person is the one with whom you are, for no man knows whether he will ever have dealings with anyone else. And the most important affair is to do that person good, because for that purpose alone were we sent into this life.
For this we stand, all peoples of the earth, in spirit as in law, across this sacred land, all worth and dignity bestowed to each as right of birth. Our lives in interdependence, for this we stand. For this we stand, one human family, evolving tapestry spun of a single thread of earth and water, born this harvest of diversity. One flame of life bright within us. For this we stand.
And today's words of inspiration come from Alberto Rios. This is A House Called Tomorrow. You are not 15 or 12 or 17. You are 100 wild centuries and 15, bringing with you in every breath and in every step everyone who has come before you. All the yous that you have been, the mothers of your mother, the fathers of your father. If someone in your family tree was trouble, 100 were not. The bad do not win, not finally, no matter how loud they are. We simply would not be here if that were so. You are made fundamentally from the good. With this knowledge, you never march alone. You are the breaking news of the century. You are the good that has come forward through it all, even if so many days feel otherwise. But think, when you as a child learned to speak, it's not that you didn't know words. It's that from the centuries, you knew so many, and it's hard to choose the words that will be your own. From those centuries, we human beings bring with us the simple solutions and songs, the river bridges and star charts and song harmonies, all in service to a simple idea that we can make a house called tomorrow. What we bring finally into the new day, every day, is ourselves. And that's all we need to start. That's everything we require to keep going. Look back only for as long as you must, then go forward into the history you will make. Be good, then better. Write books, cure disease, make us proud, make yourself proud. And those who came before you, when you hear thunder, hear it as their applause.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Say in my heart all
The song I've chosen for my special music today is a song called I Pledge Allegiance. It was written by Gary Gonzalez from Davie, Florida. I pledge allegiance to the people of this country and of all the world, and to the republic which lends a hand. One planet under peace, with liberty and justice for all. Sing it from the mountaintops, sing it from the hills, sing it from the valley, sing it from your windowsills, sing it from the balconies, sing it from the stair, sing it from the cradle, sing it from your rocking chair. I pledge allegiance to the people of this country and of all the world, and to the republic which lends a hand. One planet under peace, with liberty and justice for all. Sing it from St. Petersburg, sing it from St. Paul, sing it from Nantucket, sing it from Niagara Falls, sing it from Peoria, sing it from Eau Claire, sing it from Toledo, sing it from New York's Times Square. I pledge allegiance to the people of this country and of all the world, and to the republic which lends a hand. One planet under peace, with liberty and justice for all. Sing it from Somalia, sing it from Sudan, sing it from Angola, sing it from Afghanistan, sing it from Colombia, sing it from Kuwait, sing it from Botswana, sing it from the Baltic state. I pledge allegiance to the people of this country and of all the world, and to the republic which lends a hand. One planet under peace, with liberty and justice for all. One planet under peace, with liberty and justice for all. It's time for the offering for the work and the welfare of this church. Please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click on the donate button. Or please send your checks to 57 Reed Street. The entire address is right there on your screen. And thank you. I would be true, for there are those who trust me. I would be kind.
It's hard to believe this interminable election season is almost over. Although things have been mostly somewhat quieter the last week or so, we cannot stop our vigilance. Many are concerned that Election Day will not be the end of things, and regardless of the outcome of the election, we have every reason to expect that things are going to be rough, possibly really rough, for some time yet. And then, whatever January holds, a reminder that our work for love and justice in this world will not end there. In fact, if nothing else, this last 4 years, filled with horrors and evil that at least white people had told ourselves was no longer possible, have taught us that there is far more work to do than white people, at least, had allowed ourselves to believe. Now, I know I'm younger than some folks, but I've witnessed how each presidential election there tends to be a panic about voting and candidates. Do we have the best candidates? Not really. Do we have the best candidates for the process we have set up that people complain about, but few do anything to actually address? 100%. Anytime that you think that things have been rigged or are disappointed or more about the choices we have, I want you to remember these words too. This is how the system was designed to work. As times continue to be difficult and we look ahead at the road toward justice and love, reminding ourselves that our values, our commitments to ourselves and each other, is a way we will know how to orient ourselves for the journey. What are our anchors? How do we know when to act or what to do? One way for UUCTS folks is to look at the signs around the grounds. They state clearly what we value as UUs. Let's start with voting. We value the use of the democratic process. I'll tell you, I have been the most cynical person about voting. It never seemed like it mattered very much, at least for a long time. The candidates weren't nearly as polarized as they have become, and so it didn't really seem to be much of a big deal. Side note, this is one sign of a lot of privilege. Now, I still voted. I've heard enough stories about the suffragettes being jailed, beaten, and killed to know that as a woman, it has been my duty to honor their legacy and hard work and their lives by voting. But it wasn't until I began working with Black-led organizations when I was at my teaching congregation that I began to have a different understanding. They worked hard to get folks registered to vote and informed about issues for every election. For them, the rallying cry was that if the vote didn't matter, they wouldn't work so hard to make it inaccessible or to take away people's rights to vote in any way they could. As I began to further understand mass incarceration and voter repression, I understood what they meant. The way the Black community in particular, as well as those in other marginalized or oppressed communities, have been targeted to have their voting rights removed or made so difficult to practice that they've become modern day versions of literacy tests and poll taxes. If it's not such a big deal, why go through all that work? But one of the things that really struck me is that they wanted to make sure folks were getting out and voting at every election. Where I'm from, that's 2 to 3 times per year. Because not only does every vote matter, every election matters. This is how we fund schools. It's how we defund the police. Get good judges who share our values. Get representatives who share our values. And how we get rid of the people who are seeking a more punitive, self-righteous view of the world than the one that we so tirelessly try to build elsewhere in our lives. It's how a lot of things change. I know it can be hard to do this work, especially in a pandemic when social interactions are far more limited than any of us would like. And still, I know you are doing the work when you can and however you can. Some of us protest in the streets. Some of us engage in the hard conversations, even with the people who are going to lose out as the world we dream about comes to fruition bit by bit. Some of us work for the political parties and organizations we believe in. You all care a lot about this congregation, keeping the flame of hope and liberal values lit for this area, giving of yourselves in time, talent, and treasure. I know y'all are voting, but as the newest Supreme Court Justice was sworn in this week, we have so much work to do, and we must remain committed to it and our values. However we do the work, keeping our values at the center is vital. I said in my sermon last week how infuriated I am that my grandmother's lives and legacies have been betrayed. And we are finding ourselves confronted with the possibility of needing to refight the battles they already fought. Thankfully, the progress that has been made has made enough of a difference, I think, in our culture that the rollbacks will hopefully be more difficult. But this also depends on so many other factors. And this is something we cannot risk. As does all the justice work we do, undoing and dismantling white supremacy, which has allowed the flourishing of the corporatocracy in which we live now, is the work of generations and the work that I am most called to do. Unlike the mythological Hydra, not only does it have many heads, but more grow back every time one is cut off. It is exhausting work, and the damage that can be done in a short time, as we have witnessed in this current presidential administration, is sometimes significant. But we cannot be overwhelmed. I mean, you can, and it's okay to feel that way from time to time. I get it. But we cannot allow ourselves to feel so overwhelmed for long that we are unable to collectively move forward. One of the ways we can achieve this is through our commitments to our values. We can remind ourselves of the answers to the 3 questions, that the most important time is now, because this moment is the one in which we have power. The most important person is whoever you're with. That includes when you're alone, because this is the only company we are assured of in this moment. And then the most important thing is to do good with that person, because we all benefit from the moments that make life better. And so as we are dealing with the Hydra, we must remember that it takes reducing, reusing, and recycling on our parts, as well as changing our buying habits to be more earth-friendly, as well as lobbying politicians to make better choices, and finding organizations that are doing better and supporting them instead. In this case, I'm thinking specifically of the brilliant Winona LaDuke, whose work at White Earth Reservation and other significant work that she has done and led on behalf of Indigenous peoples and the earth, and about which she has spoken and written extensively, including at our own UU General Assembly Ware Lecture in 2010. This is the work that needs to be done. There are alternatives, and we can find the way, especially when we listen and engage in the work of Black and Indigenous peoples that they are doing and leading. As peoples whom white Americans have attempted, repeated genocide on, many communities have a wider dream about the possibilities of the beloved kingdom and making it manifest. The best way forward isn't always figuring out a new way, but supporting the work already being done. One of our sibling congregations in Rochester, New York, like many of our congregations now, has put up a Black Lives Matter banner. The congregation voted on it and were pleased. Now, in Rochester, this is not a statement without risk, not that it ever seems to be. But the Rochester Police Department have a history of killing Black folks and targeting those in the Black community. Because this has gotten worse and because it is more coming to light, people have been protesting in Rochester a lot, even since the pandemic began. And the protests sometimes become quite violent, one of the effects of having a highly militarized police force. And street medics have had a crucial role in getting people care and treatment. In the location that had been used as a makeshift triage center, the medics have been getting harassed and the medics in the building became targeted, making care and treatment less safe. Because of the UU Church's work in the community there, they were asked if they would be willing to host a new clinic site. Of course, their building has been closed due to COVID, and people were concerned about how hosting this site might impact them. They weren't sure about opening the building, but with their Black Lives Matter banner hung, they were faced with the question about their commitment to their values. And so that they decided that they would host this street medic clinic. Congregants have bought and brought bottled water and collected other supplies that would be in need, and they are strewn around their fellowship hall. They figured out how to make sure to keep the building secured, with people opening and locking the building up, even at the difficult and weird hours that can come with a street medic clinic. When questions began about opening the building for other groups and events, the reply of the board is that the building is only open for saving lives. How are we open to saving lives in this moment? It can be easy to get overwhelmed with all that's going on. Over the course of the last 4 years, especially, we have seen how upset people have been getting, and rightly so, about freedoms and rights being stripped away, about gaslighting from the administration, and so many other things. Currently, our LGBTQ siblings and neighbors are scared about the possibility of losing their right to marry and much more. And anyone with a uterus is scared about the confirmation of the newest Supreme Court justice earlier this week. Things seem even like they might get worse. So one way that I will be open to saving lives is by offering weddings for LGBTQ queer folks who suddenly find themselves wanting to get married while it feels like they still can. And of course, I will continue to do them forever and ever. Every community will be called to do things a little differently, and I'm grateful for the ways that this congregation is connected with this community. As Unitarian Universalists, we do connection, relationship, in a way that centers the value of people simply because they are human beings. And right now, this is a radical and holy act. We care for each other. Many folks would benefit from learning this. We need each other, and with our annual stewardship drive starting today, we are grateful for your continued support. We are called over and over again to do what we can. It's vitally important that we take turns doing the work of love and justice. We might think of it as a relay race, where we are passing batons off to each other and to the work that we can do. Unlike a relay, though, we need to come back into the work. We just take turns. As important as it is to keep moving forward, remember, it's not the speed, but the direction, at least most of the time. And when needed, we do what we must to be the people we most want there to be in this world. The good news is that however you're able to help, it's needed. There is no liberation for some of us, only liberation for all of us, because we need each other today and always.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the fine line. If you cannot save guardian angels, if you cannot speak before thousands,
And now I will close our service with these words from Jean Harrison Newyar, who has written in The Gift of Faith. In the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue moving forward on this journey, this path, this road called hope with me.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
I hope you found meaning in today's service. Please join our coffee hour any Sunday at 11 o'clock for friendly conversation. Again, if you are new to the area or just learning about Unitarian Universalism, we'd love to meet you in one of our Newcomer Discussions held on the second Sunday of every month at 12:15. Please refer to our website for more information on how you can connect with us on Zoom. Blessings.